In the studio this week, our ambassador for happiness and body science, Luke Mathers. How are you, mate?
Gee, why? Good to be back in the house.
And you've dropped a ripping book. Last time you were in here, you were about to do it. You've dropped Curious Habits, and it's going bananas.
Yeah, it's been sick.
Going banana. Did I just say going bananas?
It looks like a banana. It's yellow.
Because it's yellow. Is that why I said that?
Probably.
Let's rip into one of the chapters. And one of the big ones that I really loved in this was a thing about achievement addiction. And I want to talk about that if that's cool with you.
Yeah, mate, can do.
Let's rip in.
Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to Body Science HQ, the world of fit, happy, healthy. I'm going to throw on the end out there, and a lot of the fitness industry suffer from this achievement addiction.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It is a real thing. And according to your book, Chapter 18, it's something we need to look at.
Yeah, it's a curious habit, and it's basically that idea, and I'm sure we've all aware that we do this sometimes, that thing of putting happiness on the other side of achieving
Why
something.
does happiness have to be there?
Why does it have to be
Yeah,
there?
why do we keep doing that?
Well, I don't know why happiness have to be there or why do we keep doing that.
No, as humans, why do we keep putting happiness on that side? Like, why do I have to achieve this to be happy?
Yeah, we come from a place of scarcity. Humans have evolved in a place of scarcity.
Yeah.
And now that we've got lots and lots of stuff going on, there's a few things that are causing people distress. Stuff like compare and despair. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, and that causes problems. And one of the ways Hello Instagram. But one of the ways we get around that is if we keep achieving, then we get that little dopamine hit of saying, wow, that's wonderful, that feels great, let's do more of that. And that's where we kind of get addicted to achievement.
But why do we put the benchmark so far away for ourselves in that space that we can't find happiness unless we do that?
Yeah, it's a little search for validation, I think. I think we all like to feel that, yeah, it's nice to be important and it's important to be nice, but I think we all search for validation a lot. And I guess some people, it just turns into you have to achieve to actually feel like you're validated.
This must be a bit of a tough chapter for you to write, because in your life with Body Science as, ambassador of happiness, you've had some people that won gold medals that we've asked you to talk to, and I won't mention names, but you talk with our staff, you talk with our sales team, and every time I suggest that they should talk to you, they leave me thinking, oh my God, this guy wants me to perform better. You know what I mean? Like it's that, and that's not what it's about. So how do you handle achievement addiction with people who actually
are achieving amazing things?
Yeah, and are judged on achievement.
Yeah.
So I know we'll get back to the basics for the everyday person, and you give me that look, Luke. I knew he'd go somewhere in this book that I didn't want to go.
No, I love that question. It's a great question.
But yeah, why? Well, how do you, like, your achievement addiction is about acknowledging that and putting things in place that don't let that dictate how you are. I assume that's the best way to put it.
I guess that the gist of it is that do the best you can, tick the boxes you need to, work as hard as you've got to, but don't attach your self-worth as onto whether you win a gold medal or not.
Yeah,
I'm going to do all the things I can possibly do. You look at someone like Tom Green. He works as hard as I've ever seen
Well, there you
anyone
go. It's
work.
not mentioning anyone's name, but
he's a freak. And one of the things we worked really hard, he's an awesome human. One of the things we worked really hard on is we're going to do everything we can to win this gold medal. And if we win it, great. If we don't win it, great. We're going to learn some lessons and we're going to move forward. And that not to attach your self-worth on the result, I think is something that we've got to learn to do. And even something as simple as was the British Open last night, and Cameron Smith, Australian, won the British Open, which was fantastic. If he didn't, he still would have been okay. He still would have learnt from that experience, and he would have come in the next big tournament better for the run. Fortunately, he won it and stuff, which is fantastic.
Never better said to, mate.
You know what I mean? So
he's got a whole lot of new problems now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Great.
Winning's good.
Great new problems. Winning is awesome. But one of the things is we do attach our self-worth to our achievements, and I think we've got to keep a bit of perspective about that. I really love the idea of attaching it to the journey. That idea that the person who really wants to get to a destination, they might get to the destination, but the person who really loves the walking will go further.
Yeah, that's pretty deep,
isn't it?
It is a bit Zen-like, really.
I am Zenist.
You are a little bit of a Zenist, aren't you? You're maturing as an author. I'll give you that.
But I think it's something. I spoke to a guy.
Just going to turn my head and pretend he didn't say that.
We'll just have a pause so MJ can edit that.
It's going to get edited now. Don't edit it, MJ.
I spoke to a really interesting guy from Pennsylvania, a guy called Josh Dodds.
Yep.
And Josh is a psychotherapist, and he came up with an idea called the unhappy achiever. And he met a lot of people in his practice as a psychotherapist that were really accomplished, really, really important people in whatever their fields are, but they were miserable. They were really, really sad, and they just couldn't get out of that hump. And they had this illusion that if I achieve this goal, if I get the next run up that ladder, then I'm going to be happy. And it kind of, what Josh talked about is that they became unhappy achievers. They didn't actually stop and savor the achievement when they did it.
Yeah, nice.
All right. And they put their self-worth on whether they achieve it or not. And he told his story, which was a really cool one. He had a band back in his 20s, and this band had a pretty popular sort of local following and stuff. And it was a real, how well the gig went was how well he felt about himself. And his dad was a professor of psychology at Harvard and stuff. So he was a pretty smart dude and knew a bit about how brains work. And he got curious about that. And he went, this is a real narcissistic injury is how he called it, if something didn't go as well as it should have. And he looked at that and went, I shouldn't be attaching my self-worth to this. And then looked around and realized he wasn't Robinson Crusoe, that a lot of people were attaching their self-worth to their achievement rather than to their values and their goals and the things that they're are they making the world a better place by what they're doing?
I mean, let's elevate that from Instagram and all the things that we see where we just see perfection all the time. It's just thrown at us all the time. Yet you and I recently did a course together and it was really fun, the one from Yale on the science of wellness. And the data around dieting, like bringing it back to the fitness industry, and not just fitness industry, but just people and wellness. And, we've got to have that look, and we've got to have, for some people, it's, the ultimate physique. For some people, it's just dropping 10 kilos, for some, whatever it is. But it actually doesn't bring happiness.
Yeah, well, one of the studies they talked about in that was they looked at people who had a fitness goal or had a weight loss goal. They looked at the ones that were on diets, and they looked at the ones that achieved it and the ones that didn't. And there was no difference in their happiness.
No one does. You make it or not make it, you've got the same level of happiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in fact, I think it was worse in the group that...
I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that happens with that is that you sometimes achieve these goals and you have this illusion that if I can lose 4.4 kilos and I can get to that, then I'm going to be happy. And I think that's sort of mistaken. That's the curious habit of it. That sort of idea that if I hit some sort of goal, then all of my problems are going to go away and everything's going to be okay. And then when you get there and those problems are still there, even when you're 4.4 kilos lighter, you sort of get a bit disheartened and you get a bit shitty. And then you have the WTF effect that you sort of say, oh, stuff this, I'm not going to do it anymore. And you start yo-yoing all over the place. I know I've done that myself 100 times.
Yeah, I think we can all throw something in that little court. So, mate, your chapter 18, achievement addiction, what's the big call out here for everybody?
I think it's probably more about enjoy the process and do it because it's in line with who you want to be rather than what the end goal is. I love that idea of infinite goals. I really enjoy that. The idea that I want to be this type of person. I've actually changed mine. We've all heard I've talked about Carlos on this thing quite a few times. And I've actually changed my Carlos words recently.
Okay, what are they now?
They used to be curious, creative, and generous.
Yep.
And I kind of looked at it and I didn't really have to work at being generous. It was kind of just who I am without blowing sunshine up my own ass. I was just I'm just like that normally. I didn't have to work at that. So I tried to work out, well, what do I have to work at? What do I want to be? And what I want to be is I want to be present. I want to be, if I'm here, I want to be here. And I read a great book by a guy called Scott O'Neill, and the book was titled Be Where Your Feet Are.
That's cool.
And I just love that line. My wife Karen's been using that a lot. I'm going to be where my feet are is one of her little catch cries now. And so Carlos is now curious, creative, and present. So that sort of, hey, look, something shiny, that little squirrel part of me that I've wrestled with forever. Now Carlos is kind of addressing that. He wants to be present. He wants to be here. If I'm sitting here talking to you in this podcast, the only person I'm thinking about is you in this podcast.
Yeah, nice.
And there's something cool about that. But that's an infinite goal. There's no achievement at the end of that. I've done enough being present now. You know what I mean? I love that idea of infinite goals, that things that we want to work on because that's who we want to be, and they never stop. They're intrinsic, they're infinite, and they're intentional. And that's something that I think is a really good way to get around achievement addiction.
And so for anyone out there that is looking in the mirror right now in the car, if they're listening in the car or sitting back thinking, holy shit, maybe I've got that. Where can they learn more about achievement addiction? Can they jump on your website or?
Yeah, probably read Curious Habits.
Yeah, well, see the book. Let's put a good time for a book plug. Curious Habits by Luke Mathers. Why we do what we do and how to change.
Chapter 18 will certainly tell you a little bit about curious habits, but just to...
And I thought that was a really cool chapter, actually.
Yeah, it's something that we all think that when I achieve this, then I'm going to be happy. That's kind of when-then thing.
And is that looking for validation all the wrong places you talk about?
Yeah, it is a bit. One of the people I quote in there is Brené Brown, and she talks about that people who have a strong sense of love and belonging believe they're deserving of a strong sense of love and belonging. Whereas an unhappy achiever thinks they have to achieve something to have love and belonging.
Oh, that was good. Could you, I don't like going backwards, that's not my thing.
Well, an unhappy achiever will look at it and say, if I get a third Ferrari, if I get $1 million, if I lose 4.6 kilograms, then I'll be worthy of love and achievement, love and affection, love and validation, whatever way you want to put it. What if you're just worthy of that anyway because you're a good human?
Nice.
And if we start off with that, then if we achieve things along the way, Merry Christmas, it's a bonus, but we're not putting our self-worth, on the other side of whether we achieve or not. If Tom Green hadn't have won a gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics, he still would be a good human. And that was some of the things that we tried to work on. And what it does, it takes the pressure off a little bit. I tell a story in the book about Dan Jansen, and Dan Jansen's an amazing story. When you get those stories and you just know the story's meant for you because you get it from about 3 or 4 different places in about the space of a week. Dan Jansen was one of that. And he was a young guy in about the 84 Olympics, and he came in 4th. No one expected him to do anything. And then he went on a tear after that, was winning world champions, breaking world records, and he was amazing. But every time he got to the Olympics, he fell at the last hurdle and literally fell, and he never falls ever. Yep. He fell in the Olympics a couple of times. He had one Olympics that just before his pet event, his sister died. His sister was sick back home in the States, and she died just before his gold medal race, and he didn't win. And so he'd gone through like 3 or 4 Olympics and had failed, for all intents and purposes, should have won and didn't, and was kicking stones about it. And he had a mindset coach, a guy called Jim Law, who sat with him before the last one, and let's just run this last race, very last race you're ever going to have at the Olympics. He was retiring after this, and let's just do it from a place of gratitude, a place of acceptance, and a place of purpose, just to go out there and show the world how much you love ice skating. And he went out and won a gold medal.
Yeah, nice.
You know what I mean? So that, and if he hadn't have won a gold medal, he was still coming from a place of gratitude and acceptance.
Oh my God, he was still a multi-Olympian.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
how many of us get to go to one of those?
Exactly. So just to be able to sort of do the right thing because you want to do the right thing. And if it happens to be really successful, great. If it doesn't, great. And I think that's something that we can definitely experience it with things like if you go on a diet and lose weight and stuff, you kind of think it's all going to be great at the end of it. I used to do it in business a lot. I would put, if I can be number 1 in the country. And every single time, I call it top of the mountain syndrome in the book. And every single time you got to the top of the mountain, it was good. The view wasn't quite as great as you would have got. And it didn't last anywhere near as long as it could have gotten. So I was speaking to someone about this the other day, and they said, well, no one climbs Everest so they can take a tent up there and pitch themselves at the top. You know what I mean? It's about the journey up and down.
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of idea, that top of the mountain syndrome, that when you get there, it's not quite as great as what you think. I think that's where you've got to look back with a bit of gratitude on the journey.
I think there's a lot in that. There's a lot in that. Mate, thanks for coming on. That was a short, sweet, good one. Curious Habits, Luke Mathers. The book is available now. Probably the easiest place to get is Amazon.
Amazon, most bookshops have it at the moment. Yeah.
Oh,
Amazon, Booktopia.
Is it in the airports?
Yes.
It is. WH Smith. While you're there, grab a Body Science protein bar because they're there to get your book in our protein. You couldn't get a better combination in Australia if you tried.
I'm flying tomorrow. I'm going to go do that then.
Well, I look forward to seeing your sale go through.
You bet.
Better take a picture because it didn't happen if you didn't take a picture.
Instagram.
I'll be curious as to see if you did it. Curious Habits, Luke Mathers. Luke is our ambassador for happiness here at Body Science. Hey, if anybody else is looking to bring someone into their fold that makes people feel warm and fuzzy and doesn't really tell you what to do but gives you ways that you can look at things differently, I think you're the man.
Thank you, Greg.
It's okay.